That landmark decision on methane comes hot on the heels of a separate agreement at COP26 on deforestation. On that, over 100 world leaders have agreed to reverse deforestation by 2030. And among the countries now on board, at least on paper, is Brazil. And to discuss is our correspondent in Rio de Janeiro, Tim Vickery. Tim, how significant is Brazil's involvement in this deal?
Well, I think it's still an open question. To what extent Brazil is part of the problem? To what extent is it part of the solution? Significant, I think, that President Jair Bolsonaro is not in Glasgow, could easily have gone. He's still in Italy, where he went for the G20. Brazil, remember, backslided on the promises that it made at the Paris Accord of 2015. Its gas emissions actually rose 5% between 15 and 20. In 2020, when gas emissions worldwide fell nearly 7% because of the pandemic, in Brazil, they grew 9.5%. Brazil is the world's sixth largest emitter of gas emissions. The bulk of that comes from the agricultural business and from deforestation. Now, these are sectors known to be strong supporters of the Bolsonaro government. And with that government fighting for its political life, with elections less than a year away, the level of commitment of the government to this agreement has to be cast into some kind of doubt.
And Tim, with all of that in mind, is there any kind of enforcement mechanism here to compel Brazil to meet this 2030 deadline? Because as you're suggesting, there may be some in Brazil who are not so focused on ensuring that this happens.
It's a voluntary agreement, and there are a couple of problems here. One is the government's base of calculations, and Greenpeace specialist on this subject have said that the government have changed the basis of calculations, making its figures difficult to judge on this issue. And the other in deforestation is that the indigenous people are complaining that they are not being involved in a deal which at the moment is between governments. Now, the fear of the indigenous people is that these measures to protect the forest will be in the hands of the governments and agro-business, and that they see is akin to turning the poachers into the gamekeepers.
Tim Vickery for us there in Brazil. Thanks very much indeed for your reporting.